Mr. Speaker, whether one thinks that President Trump's tariff threats are a negotiating tactic or a real plan, what we do know is what we can control. And the Prime Minister has lost control of everything.
I think the Leader of the Opposition needs to reflect carefully on whether he really wants to amplify the erroneous narratives that the Americans are putting forward around, for example, our border.
Breaking things is not responsible, Mr. Speaker, and that's what he's been doing for 9 years. My job is not to cover that up for him. In fact, he's broken our economy.
Did Justin Trudeau just lose his grip on power? Pierre Poilievre's non-confidence vote could change everything. With housing costs doubling and Canadians earning $3,000 less than Americans, Trudeau's leadership is under fire. Is this the end of the road for the Liberal government? Justin Trudeau's once unshakable political fortress is crumbling before our eyes. The charismatic leader who swept into power with a wave of popularity and promises of sunny ways is now facing a storm of discontent. Trudeau's image as an invincible political force, the darling of international media and progressive voters alike, is rapidly fading. Recent polls paint a grim picture for the Liberal government. A shocking Angus Reid survey reveals that Trudeau's approval rating has plummeted to a mere 31%, with a staggering 64% of Canadians disapproving of his performance. This isn't just a temporary dip, it's a freefall that's sending tremors through the Liberal Party.
Right now, while an American incoming president wants to take our jobs and our businesses, it's understandable why President Trump wants Canadian jobs to go south, but why does this Prime Minister want to help him do it?
Mr. Speaker, we recognize that Canadians are facing challenging moments, which is why we are stepping up to deliver for them, whether it's by delivering a tax break over the next few months that the Conservatives are totally opposed to.
Behind closed doors, Liberal MPs are growing increasingly uneasy. Whispers of doubt echo through the corridors of power as they watch their leader's popularity nosedive. The once united front is showing cracks, with some party members privately questioning Trudeau's ability to lead them to another victory. What's driving this voter dissatisfaction? The numbers tell a damning story. Housing costs have skyrocketed, with the average home price doubling since Trudeau took office. Inflation is eating away at Canadians' purchasing power, and wages are stagnating. A recent study shows Canadians are now earning $3,000 less on average than their American counterparts.
Whether it's by delivering a national school food program that is already helping thousands of Canadians across the country that the Conservatives oppose, whether it's delivering dental care.
He's doubled the cost of housing, doubled the national debt, doubled trouble across our economy with higher taxes on working Canadians. He's in the process of raising taxes on investment and energy.
Mr. Speaker, the Conservative leader just wants to exploit the challenges Canadians are facing while we will solve them.
These aren't just statistics, they're the daily reality for millions of struggling Canadians. Pierre Poilievre, the sharp-tongued Conservative leader, isn't about to let this opportunity slip away. He's sharpening his knives, ready to exploit every weakness in Trudeau's armor. Poilievre's strategy is clear: hammer home the economic hardships faced by everyday Canadians and pin the blame squarely on Trudeau's policies. The Liberal fortress that once seemed impregnable now looks more like a house of cards, ready to collapse at the slightest push. Trudeau's carefully crafted image of a progressive champion is crumbling under the weight of economic realities and unfulfilled promises. But Poilievre isn't content to simply wait for Trudeau to fall. He's gearing up for an all-out assault, and he's got a secret weapon that could change everything. The stage is set for a political showdown that will keep Canadians on the edge of their seat. Imagine a single vote with the power to topple a government and potentially trigger a national election. That's exactly what Poilievre has set in motion with his non-confidence move against Trudeau. As the debate kicks off this Thursday, Canadians are holding their breath. Could this be the moment that reshapes the country's political landscape? Poilievre's secret weapon is the non-confidence vote, a powerful tool in Canadian politics. Here's how it works. The opposition introduces a motion in the House of Commons, followed by a heated debate. If a simple majority of MPs vote in favor, the government falls. It's a high-stakes gamble that could force an early election and completely change the game. The Conservative leader isn't leaving anything to chance. He's been planning this moment for months, carefully building his case against Trudeau's leadership. Poilievre has become a master master of social media, using platforms like Twitter and Facebook to hammer home his message. He's flooding timelines with hard-hitting videos and snappy one-liners that paint Trudeau as out of touch with everyday Canadians. Political experts are watching closely, predicting major shockwaves if the vote succeeds. Some say it could lead to a complete reshuffling of Canada's political deck, with Trudeau's Liberals potentially losing their grip on power. Others warn that Poilievre is playing a dangerous game. If the vote fails, it could backfire and strengthen Trudeau's position. The atmosphere in Parliament is electric. You can practically feel the tension crackling in the air as MPs from all parties prepare for this crucial showdown. Everyone knows the stakes are incredibly high. Canadians are glued to their screens, wondering which politicians will stand with workers and which will defend the status quo. Poilievre is taking an enormous risk, but the potential payoff is massive. If his gambit succeeds, he'll go down in history as the man who brought down the Trudeau government. It's a calculated move that could completely rewrite the rules of Canadian politics. But don't count Trudeau out just yet. The Prime Minister is a seasoned political fighter, and he won't go down without the fight of his life. As Thursday's debate approaches, both sides are gearing up for a battle that will have Canadians on the edge of their seats. While Trudeau prepares for the fight of his life, a perfect storm is brewing. The debate stage isn't just a battlefield, it's quicksand. With over 260,000 unprocessed asylum claims and 500,000 people in Canada illegally, the immigration system is on the verge of collapse. Add skyrocketing housing costs and inflation to the mix, and you've got a recipe for political disaster. How long can Trudeau keep his head above water? These three issues are like ticking time bombs for Trudeau's government. Let's start with the housing crisis. Canadians are struggling to find affordable homes, and prices keep going up. Young families are being priced out of the market, forced to live with parents or move far from job opportunities. Trudeau's promises to make housing more accessible have fallen flat, and now he's facing the consequences. Then there's inflation, hitting Canadians right in their wallets. Grocery bills are through the roof, gas prices are painful, and everyday essentials are becoming luxuries for some. People are angry, and they're looking for someone to blame. Trudeau's attempts to explain away the rising costs aren't cutting it anymore. But the real powder keg is immigration. Canada's system is bursting at the seams. There's a massive backlog of over 2 million visa applications, and it's growing by the day. Illegal border crossings are making headlines, and Canadians are questioning whether the government has lost control. Trudeau's welcoming approach is now under fire from all sides. Experts say these issues are creating the perfect political storm for Trudeau. Housing, inflation, and immigration problems are all connected, each making the others worse. It's a vicious cycle that's spinning out of control, and Trudeau's in the eye of the hurricane. How will Trudeau defend his record? He's running out of excuses, and Canadians are running out of patience. Every attempt to explain away these problems just seems to dig him deeper into a hole. One wrong move, one clumsy answer, and any of these issues could be the final nail in Trudeau's political coffin. The stage is set for an epic showdown. Trudeau's fighting for his political life, and Poilievre is ready to go for the jugular. Will Trudeau find a way to turn things around? Or is this the beginning of the end for his government? Canadians are about to witness a political battle like no other. The tension in Parliament was so thick you could cut it with a knife. As the doors opened for the debate, everyone knew this wasn't just another day in Canadian politics. This was war. What happened next left even the most seasoned political observers stunned. Justin Trudeau came out swinging, determined to defend his government's record. He pointed to initiatives like the National School Food Program and dental care, arguing these were making a real difference in Canadians' lives. But Pierre Poilievre wasn't buying it. He fired back, dismissing Trudeau's programs as ineffective. A food program that hasn't served a single meal or a temporary tiny 10-cent tax cut on a bag of potato chips will not fix what he created. Poilievre shot back. The exchange set the tone for a fiery debate. Poilievre painted a picture of a Canada in crisis, hammering Trudeau on the economy, housing costs, and immigration. He accused the Prime Minister of being in the pocket of big corporations, declaring, "The Prime Minister loves to spend Canadians' money, and he doesn't care if it's wasted or misspent." Trudeau looked visibly shaken by the intensity of the attacks, but Trudeau wasn't going down without a fight. He defended his economic record, insisting that inflation in Canada has been within the Bank of Canada's target range all year. Prime Minister tried to shift the focus to his government's achievements in healthcare and social programs, but Poilievre kept bringing the conversation back to the struggles of everyday Canadians. As the debate raged on, Canadians took to social media in droves. The reaction was deeply divided, mirroring the tension in Parliament. Many expressed frustration with Trudeau's handling of the economy, while others praised his initiatives and defended his leadership. The polarized response showed just how high the stakes were for both leaders. An unexpected moment came when a backbench MP interjected with a pointed question about government waste, catching both leaders off guard. The interruption changed the debate's tone, forcing Trudeau and Poilievre to address specific policy details they'd been avoiding. As the debate wound down, both leaders landed final jabs, but it was clear this was just the beginning. The real fight was yet to come. With the non-confidence vote looming, Canadians were left wondering, would Trudeau's government survive, or was this the end of an era in Canadian politics?